freshwater quantity accounting system, and in that definition it talks about records should be regularly kept updated, information on the measured, modelled or estimated takes. So we don't have to absolutely measure everything. We don't have to see water measurement devices installed on everything. There is scope there to make certain assumptions and modelled calculations about various, perhaps small scale takes. Heaven forbid if this was foisted on us, that with the expectation that every take would be needing measurement device and all the data and whatnot that would entail and have to cope with. But this certainly is proposed along the lines of saying, yes, if you measure something, that's all well and good to go into your accounting system, but equally modelling and estimating some stuff that goes into your accounting system is just as valid.
So just clarity around that, do we have all bore logs established? Any permitted bore still actually is registered with the council?
As in the drilling of the bore? Yes. In terms
Are we confident that we actually have every one of them registered?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So yes, we do have a comprehensive log of well store. It might be a stretch to say that we have all of them, but certainly the vast majority of them. And as Mr. Ides pointed out, we have actually undertaken some permitted activity assessments to try and estimate the volume of water utilised under the permitted activity rules. We've done that in the Tukituki, for example, and that would be that sort of exercise that we would look to roll out for that sort of process. And certainly in sitting in the reference panel, which I would note comprised a large representation by the regional sector, so it was chaired by one of my peers in ECAN, and there were two other council representatives on the steering panel. We were very cognisant of not creating a whole lot of unnecessary cost and work for the sector, and certainly one of the challenges now for the sector is to pick up the framework if it's adopted and develop a national framework, a national system of accounting that's consistent, because I think it's important that we're comparing apples with apples across the country, and that makes the information available, transparent and available for the public to see. So that's something that, for example, we're starting with around water takes now, is to try and figure out, rather than duplicating systems across the country, can we do it in one place effectively and make it available for those who need it.
Councillor Graham. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm really pleased that as a community we're able to make our own solutions to this, because and I was pleased to read this, that we are making submissions on this, because I have some real concerns about this government discussion document. And I just refer people to, especially regard the national bottom lines. And in the national bottom lines, and I quote, "The quality of most water bodies is already above the proposed bottom lines," wouldn't by definition that mean that we're all agreeing to lower the bottom lines, given that every single bottom line is at the lowest point of disaster, really? So we're redefining the safety of our rivers and lakes by these bottom lines, and every one is at the high point of the worst scenario. Just if you go to that government report.
An example on a page, Councillor?
I'll give you an example. Lakes and Rivers, page 70 on the government report. So we're saying that the bottom line is for lakes and rivers is 80% of species protection level, but actually the bottom line is at the high end of the worst level, which is D, impacts on growth of multiple species. So, and that is in every case. So where the government is, and I know this is just a discussion document, and that's why I'm really pleased that we have this other document, and I'm really pleased to hear your position on these things. But I think that we should be commenting on this and saying that as a region, we're not going to agree to the standards of our lakes and rivers to the high end of the worst area. They're really saying that a river is safe if you can wade in it, but don't put your head under. And I'm just not signing off on that. So I don't know what everyone else feels about that, but I think it's pretty terrible what we are redefining. In this report is pretty horrendous. I know that's more of a statement than a question, but
I'm sure he'll craft an answer for us.
If you require some clarification, then perhaps I might remind councillors that the NPS, as it exists at the moment, already requires regional councils to maintain or improve the overall quality of water in the region. So these proposed national bottom lines are not a proposal that would expect or anticipate every region and every water body in the country to just drop down to that bottom line. There's still the expectation that whatever water quality you've got at the moment must at least be maintained. So if you're better than the national bottom line, great, but you've got to maintain it. You just can't sink to the bottom line. If anything, you should be improving what you've currently got. In some water bodies where you are below below the national bottom line, then yep, there's a task ahead of the community to pull their socks up and get above that national bottom line. But if you're already above it, that's all well and good.
So to go back to the human health standard, as a for instance, then does this council have a position that is better than what is being floated here, i.e., does this council have a position that the primary contact should be the basis of the standard? And if we do or don't have that policy, how do we achieve one?
I'm just trying to rack my brain as to what policies we've got in Change 5, which is all about integrated management of land and water, and that was a suite of policies incorporated into the regional policy statement. At that high-level regional policy level, if I recall, there was a statement around basically all water bodies. The life supporting capacity should be safeguarded. The Māori of water bodies shall be protected, or words to that effect. And one of the newer clauses that's emerging from Environment Court appeal mediations is around water bodies should be safe for human health, contact recreation. Not safe as in temperature, not safe as in flows, but safe for primarily bacterial and those sorts of attributes. So that's already emerging in our own regional planning documents as something of a standardised expectation across the region. Below that, or in addition to that, we would see the catchment-based plan changes like the Tukituk plan change, the Mohaka plan change, needing to keep in line with that regional policy statement approach.
Yeah, I just got to. I'm really pleased to hear this. Don't get me wrong. I'm really pleased that as a region we can define our own standards. That's not what this report says. This report from the government said that the bottom line for contact is a beach is generally satisfactory for contact recreation, though there are potential contamination sources. You know, the public don't understand. I mean, this is simple stuff that the public does not really fully understand. So as a council, I want to be really sure that we're not going to buy into these bottom lines as presented in this discussion document that's written by the government.
Could I just add to that, though, that you know, the question here is: do we go with the local government New Zealand proposal or not? Proposed amendments, and I think there's a little way to go in the discussion, actually.
One little point about the RMA. The RMA says that you must give effect to national policy statements. The RMA goes on to say that your own local plans can be stricter but not less strict. So that is in the RMA. So understanding that we are free to make any standards of our own stricter than or more restrictive than the national policy statement, but the bottom line is the national policy statement. You cannot alter anything below that. So perhaps a familiarity with the requirements around those various statutory documents might be helpful.
Can we, if there's no more questions, actually just take ourselves to the recommendation here and
as is.
Okay. I think we've had a reasonably good discussion and set of questions and kick it along. So we have a mover for the recommendation as it sits there. Do we have someone that's happy to second that? You happy, Councillor Pike? You wish to speak,
yes,
Councillor
Mr.
Scott?
Chairman, I'm very disappointed in the process that the Minister has decided to adopt in going and avoiding a board of inquiry and actually going through hearing submissions. This is a chance for bureaucrats to actually sift through them and make recommendations, and it's far less powerful voice that we have through this process. However, we have to abide by that. Those are the rules. We have to live by them. And therefore, I think that in this way, the most effective way is for us to put our collective minds together, and I'm really pleased to hear the amount of work that is collectively going on amongst the technical expertise of the various councils dealing with these matters, and putting forward one document which can actually be probably far more powerful than a whole lot of individual and contradictory submissions might be. Like a lot of hopeful legislation that comes out, there are inconsistencies, and I'm really pleased that they are being identified. It's much better to iron them out at this stage than actually have it enacted and then having a whole series of legislation trying to correct what doesn't work. So I'm pleased that the amount of work that is going into trying to get a united approach to this, to clear up the inconsistencies, to get some really positive input into establishing a national framework that is measurable. And I think that it's really important that we get that, not losing the fact, of course, that we still have, as the Act has given us the power to, our own ability to make higher value judgments within our own region and within particular subcatchments and catchments of that region. So that still rests with us. This is a basic framework which is really probably long overdue. So I'm grateful that there is considerable input from the sector in this.
Thank you. Seconded. You wish to speak?
Yeah, just briefly, Mr. Chair. I attended the hui that travelled around the country to look at these proposed amendments to the National Policy Statement, and I think what impressed me was the broad consultation that had obviously been done with a number of people who were involved in it, and Mr. Maxwell also was involved in the initial setting up of inputting into that policy. I think that the way of actually addressing some of the things that we need to change in it is the right way to do it through Local Government New Zealand, and I think that the request for clarification on some of those issues is the right one as well. We need to have some sort of clarification, particularly when it comes to the measuring of some of the standards that they're requiring. So yeah, I support it.
Councillor Barker.
I support the I support the notion of having a single submission go on behalf of local government. I don't think there's any point in us recreating the wheel. I think it's very sensible. But having said that, it doesn't mean that we can't voice an opinion about what we'd like the tenor of it to be or the pitch of it to be as a general thing. And I was wondering if we could amend the recommendation here that we've got to pick up the sentiments of Councillor Graham, who I felt had general support around the table. That
Do you wish to move an amendment?
I'm getting to that. Yes, I am. Sorry, I've got someone shaking her head.
Well, if you're going to move an amendment, instead of discussing it beforehand, move the amendment and then we'll discuss it.
All right. Well, I was trying to be inclusive and get some sentiment, so it didn't sort of draw people along. But
rule-based organisation.
We'll have a rule-based entity. That this council supports increasing standards of water quality and better measurement and management of systems as a general principle.
Just explain to me how that fits in there. So, 1, 2, 3. You move an amendment that there's a 3.3, is that right?
3.3, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Balfour, do you wish to speak to that? Councillor Barker.
All right. The Regional Council supports
Hawke's Bay Regional.
Hawke's Bay Regional Council supports increasing standards of water quality and enhancements in measurement and in management of our water resources.
Seconded by Councillor Balfour. Thank you. You wish to speak further to that?
I think it's self-explanatory.
You.
I want me to write that for you. I haven't read that. Yes, I'll do that. Yep.
You have finished speaking?
Well, I have. Yeah. So we support what we're saying. Well, I'm just saying what we support the local government of New Zealand.
We've got it written down here.
As a general principle, we're saying to them we are happy with increasing standards of quality, increasing measurement, and increasing tools to manage our water resources. That's our general position.
Great. Councillor Balfour, do you wish to add anything?
I think the value of the amendment is to raise the issue that we're not, as a council, supporting a lowest common denominator approach to water quality, and that we need to be clear about that. It's fine to support a lot of what I regard as technocratic improvements to the standard that's been put forward, but as a regional council, as opposed to just sitting back here saying, well, not to worry, when the day comes we can maintain or lift our own standards. We're being asked, in commenting on a national proposition here, what we think the national policy should be with respect to water quality. And in that regard, I would have preferred to see us pull out of this or add to it one or two areas where we as a council actually felt that the aspirations of this national standard fell short. But I don't see that really being very sharply articulated if we simply endorse the local government submission at the end of the day. So I support the amendment on that basis.
Further speakers? Councillor Dick.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it states the obvious, and it states what we're doing, and so naturally I'll support it because you don't vote against motherhood and apple pie.
Wish to sum up? Motherhood and apple pie. Okay. No further speakers. I'll put the motion. Then all those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. So that now becomes a substantive motion, which I need to put again, correct? Don't normally get this far. Okay, all those in favour of this now becoming the substantive motion.
The whole thing.
No.
Has discussion on the whole motion finished?
Or you wish to sum up? No, it has finished. I'll put the substantive motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. Right, let's move along. Mr. Ian Brown, Dr. Ian Brown.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll just invite Dr. Brown, who I think should be in the back. Or is he? He's out there, sorry. Just while